All right, how many do we have?
25.
All right.
26.
All right, we will start with 26 then. I want to welcome all of you to the September 23rd, 2020 Rush Town Board meeting. Will you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And will the town clerk, Ms. Busey, please call the roll?
Councilman Mulliver?
Here.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Here.
Supervisor Cusey?
Here.
And also present is Deputy Town Supervisor Victoria Mazzetti.
Here.
And I will start off with a couple of announcements. And the first is that live streaming on the town YouTube channel for board meetings, which includes the town board, the planning board, the zoning board, and the conservation board, will be from, is it today on, Victoria?
Well, tonight it is not clicking.
It's not clicking.
I will keep messing around with it throughout the meeting, but no matter what, the recording will go up. It just may not be live, but I'll keep trying.
All right. And the second thing I want to mention is the budget update for those of you who have been paying attention to the budget process. We now have a tentative budget.
You want this? Yeah.
In hand, and we will be scheduling that for a proposed budget and then a adopted budget. And those events will take place between now and I believe the first week in December. I also want to inform everyone that there will be a virtual forum on the Horseshoe Solar Project. I don't want to get yelled at. I got to move my screen back up. The Horseshoe Solar Project on September 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. I'm going to guess that it'll be largely a sales pitch, but there could be some information that would be of interest to all of us in viewing that. We have meeting minutes from September 9th to approve. And I've read the meeting minutes, got them well in advance of tonight. And I'd like to make a motion that we approve those September 9th meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Mulliver?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey?
Aye. There is no transfer of funds tonight, but there is an approval of the abstract, which Councilwoman Corbin will do.
And before I read the resolution, I just want to verify with the town clerk, the resolution that you had sent out was not the number that was on the abstract. I just want to confirm that, Pam.
The proposed resolutions were sent to the town board only, but you also have the abstract, so that is something to look
right.
for.
They were just different numbers. I wanted to verify.
Yeah, the numbers on the abstract are correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I so move, having reviewed all vouchers number 866 through number 904. I'm sorry, let me back up. Claims listed on abstract number 9-2 dated September 22nd, 2020 for vouchers 2020 number 866 through 2020 number 904 be approved for payment in the amount of $46,777.69. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Williver,
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey.
Aye.
And Supervisor, if I can just report on the one large payment the town made this month.
Yes, you can.
It was for $19,143 to Excelis under 65 for the month of October. That was our largest. All the others were not that large. And that's it.
And they're growing, so you'll get to report bigger ones in the future. Not that that's
True.
a good thing, but. All right, we can move on to correspondence. I have two items. One is I got a notice from Daniel Carlson, who's the program coordinator for the law enforcement training programs over at the Stony Brook Road site. And he is notifying us that their schedules have been all goofed up by the protest movement in Rochester. All police personnel have been taken downtown and put on duty there. And they're going to try to get back on the published schedule that we previously talked about a couple of weeks ago. And as soon as they can do that, they will reenact that schedule. They had an unscheduled event 2 days ago, Monday the 21st, but they would like to get back on their regular broadcast schedule or published schedule, and hopefully they can do that. The other correspondence I received is a letter from two different people saying that they didn't like some inappropriate posts that were on the local, and you got to forgive me, I don't know what local, what national is when it comes to Facebook posting, but they were on a Facebook account. And all I want to say is I read it. I didn't think it was appropriate, especially in this time of turmoil that our country is going through in just about every city. And we as a town board will not tolerate that kind of activity. It does nothing but harm the movement to move forward peacefully, and that's enough for me to say on that subject. We'll now move on to reports from the town board members. Pat Stevens is not with us tonight. She said she had no updates from the last meeting, and Mark David will not be with us tonight. He had some personal issues to take care of. I don't know if our librarian, Kirsten, is with us.
I don't believe she was going to be at the meeting. She had no further updates, Supervisor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And is our assessor with us, Mr. Minio? Well, I guess not. Then we're going to have to move to our town clerk, Miss Busey.
Oh, okay. I would like to thank you for starting our town board staff meetings again, which is very beneficial for us in the town hall. I have received the 2021 preliminary budget, and you'll be talking about that later. I received that yesterday. The August town clerk report was submitted to the supervisor with a check in the amount of $10,867.99, and checks to the state amounted to $2,062.42. I've opened the channel to residents to pay school taxes through the Monroe County website, utilizing the county executive decision to waive the convenience fees. I know at the last meeting I reported that we were not going to be doing that, but I decided that the other towns within the county were doing that. So Rush has decided to do that as well. To date, I have posted for school taxes $1,180,216.60. And with that, we do switch the banks back and forth. So we do all our deposits and scanning of the checks within the town hall so that we are not charged extra for doing lockbox. We are selling hunting and fishing licenses. There's a few kinks in the new system, but patience to all customers, they're getting resolved. So we're happy that they are doing that. I'm continuing the process of receiving and answering the Freedom of Information requests, including one of the most recent ones was for the end of year financial statements that was provided by the finance director. Thank you, Dan. The supervisor secretary is continuing to work on the installation of the phone system. We still have a few kinks in that, but be patient with that. And let's see, the other thing that I wanted to address was that due to the high volume of requests and laptops during COVID, Supervisor QC has approved the purchase of 2 laptops within the clerk's office. They will not be scheduled to arrive until February, so there is a delay in getting them. And I believe that is all for my report.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jerry, I wondered if you skipped the public comment.
Well, you know what? I did, but we're going to go to it in just a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't think you'd see it with your glasses on.
I have perfect vision now.
Is our historian with us, Sue Mee.
Hi, I am
Sue,
here.
would you like to make a comment about the items of business we discussed earlier? One was the plaques you've ordered.
Yes, I have ordered an update, an update for the Vietnam Veterans Plaque, as well as the Persian Gulf and Operation Terrorism Freedom, or War on Freedom, or War on Terrorism, sorry, plaques to update those panels in the Veterans Park Memorial. And we have not previously had the inside circle sign updated or created actually, and that has now I've received the proofs just yesterday, as a matter of fact, so I have to go over them, and I haven't done it yet, but make sure all of the names are included that I had provided, and then we should get those 3 panels you know, a little bit later this fall, and that will be an update to all of the names that were received since the installation of the original signs. And that's why we purchased this type of sign, so that we could continue to add names and update as needed. I'm not updating the panels for, you know, 1 or 2 names. I wait until we have an accumulation of several to add. So we did the World War II sign last fall, and tried to, you know, keep it as updated as possible, but, you know, on a like every 2-year schedule maybe, or if I think going forward it'll be even less. You know, the older wars won't have the conflicts obviously as the Persian Gulf or the newer conflicts. So try to keep it added, and the assessor's office updates me with new information as veterans move into town that have served. So we keep a running list now, which we never had before. And
Thank you.
yeah, sure.
Anything else?
No, just still answering lots of genealogy requests, because I think lots of people are home and they're spending lots of time doing their genealogy research.
Oh, I'll bet they are.
Yeah, and I don't know, they think we have incredible information dating back to the 1700s, and it's just not the case.
Well, it's your reputation that causes that, you know.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, I know that.
Okay, well, we're trying.
Every time I get near that Veterans Memorial, I don't go there much, but every time I go in there, it's astounding to think of the number of Rush residents who have served us. It just is astounding. You know, I think of Rush as being a little small town. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, there are so many people who have served in the service.
Yes, when you look back even to the American Revolution, and we weren't even a town at that point, but we are well represented. You know,
Oh my gosh,
this town has done their part. Yeah,
probably more than represented.
mm-hmm. So,
and thank you, Sue.
Sure.
For those of you who want to speak, you can thank Victoria for getting me back on track. And we're going to open up our first public comment session right now. And once again, I'd like to remind you to be courteous and considerate of other people who are in attendance. And remember that this is where you get to make your comments, but there's no two-way exchange of information. So let's have at it and hear what you have to say.
Catherine, did you want to say anything?
No, I was just bringing to your attention that Public Be Heard had been missed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're keeping us on both our toes, all our toes. Dave Sliberski, let me find you. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
Yes, the only comment, 69 Rush, West Rush Road, first Zoom meeting with you guys from the in-person days. On behalf of the Rush Historical Society as new co-president, I had sent some paperwork and some letters to, not letters, but a document on the 2nd, which ended up in the junk email and was redistributed. So I just wanted to ask to see if it could be documented in the minutes that you had received it.
I guess I'll have to respond. The answer to that is yes. We've been plagued by some email glitches that Kathy Hankins and Pam and others have been working on. And we don't have them all gone yet, but they will eventually all be gone and we won't experience that again.
Okay, fair enough. Just as long as that, you know, the documents from the Rush Historical Society were received and hopefully get start to read. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
They're recorded.
Thank you. All right, Chaz, where are you? There you are. I see you.
Great. Hey, everybody. Just short comment tonight. First of all, thanks so much to Victoria and for the whole board for getting going on the YouTube recordings of the Zoom meetings. It's so helpful to have that as an option to go back to, or if you're busy for an evening, it just makes, you know, the whole democratic process more accessible. So thank you so much for getting those worked on, and especially Victoria, you with just off of LASIK. So that's awesome. And kudos to other departments too for their great work over the past couple of weeks that I've noticed, especially like the library doing a lot of Facebook sessions and reading sessions. Aaron and others there doing great work. So just sort of a cheers to everyone at the town hall and all our employees for doing such great work. And that's it.
Thank you, Chaz.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Chaz.
You bet.
Anybody else for the first public comment period?
Victoria, you look so cool when you make that statement.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
No, it's the glasses too. I'm sorry. It was a really positive comment and it was fun.
My favorite, one of my favorite quotes. Anyone else?
I think we can move on.
You can move on. You got it.
And Victoria, here's Jerry's gotcha for you tonight.
Oh, no.
You didn't remind me that John Mancuso didn't report. So I'm asking the attorney for the town now, do you have a report?
No report.
All right. Then let's move on to old business.
Supervisor, this is Supervisor, this is Councilwoman Corbin. I don't, if it would be okay if I could give a report.
Didn't I call on you? I didn't.
That's okay. That's all right. And
Oh my gosh.
Councilman Wolliver, and that's okay.
I'm sorry, I
It's all right.
apologize.
It's all right. And I see with the wonderfulness of Zoom, I see John Limbeck is also with us tonight too.
That's a
So
good
maybe
thing.
if I didn't know if he had a report, I didn't want to jump ahead of him if he had something he wanted to report. Our building inspector. Everything's good, John?
Everything's good, and we are issuing a large percentage of building permits as people are doing things in the town. We've got 3 brand new homes being built, 4 or 5 additions, and lots of decks and pole barns. So things are going well. Thank you.
All right, I'll go now. I'll tag I'm at. This is Councilwoman Corbin. I attended the planning board meeting as the town board liaison on, get my dates right, September 15th, I believe was the date. There were 2 public hearings scheduled at the time. One was a request for a special permit for an accessory apartment to an existing structure. It was located at 50 Stony Brook Road, and that was approved with conditions. The second was a special permit and site plan review for Forefront Power LLC for the development of the Werner Solar 5 megawatt solar array located at 8427 West Henrietta Road, and that application was tabled. And under old business, I will report on another event that's under the old business agenda, and that's it for me.
All right. Are you prepared to read the resolution for the tentative budget dates, or would you like me to do that?
Well, I didn't know if Councilman Wolliver had anything to report. I didn't want to jump ahead of him.
Oh my gosh.
I attended the 1911 meeting on Monday, and they're going to have a report later on in the meeting. And that's it.
All right. Now, I'm assuming I haven't missed anyone else except
Deputy
Victoria. Do you have a report?
I think my report is later in the agenda. Hang on, I'm looking at it right now.
That's okay. It is.
Yeah, I'm later. So I can wait.
And I'll use a feeble excuse. That's why I didn't call on Dan and Amber, because they're later in the agenda also. Okay, let's move on to the resolution to schedule a public hearing on the 21 budget. The tentative budget has been completed. The preliminary budget has been presented to the town clerk, and we're going to set a public hearing for October 21st. The adoption will occur at a later date, which is November 11th. And then our finance director, Dan Klimek, will submit it to Monroe County. So we have to set a public hearing for the preliminary budget, and we do that tonight. And does someone have that resolution to read?
I do, if you'd like me to, Supervisor, unless Dan would like to.
Absolutely.
All right, I so move to schedule a public hearing on the Town of Rush 2021 budget to take place on October 21st, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. in the offices of the Rush Town Hall located at 5977 East Henrietta Road, New York, and on Zoom pending Governor Andrew Cuomo's executive order.
I'll second that.
Second. Thank you, Dan.
Councilman Wolliver?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin,
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey,
Aye.
Pam and Catherine, we will need a new Zoom link potentially for this one, correct? Because it's a whole new meeting and a public hearing.
You're talking about the public hearing date.
Yeah.
Schedule.
no, we won't need a new one because it's on a regular meeting night.
Hang on, let me look at a calendar. Oh, I must have the wrong dates. Okay, so it is the 21st and that's a board meeting?
Correct.
Okay, my bad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else, Councilwoman Corbin? All right. We're going to move on to one of my very, very favorite subjects, an update on the library roof. And, you know, I've come at this thinking the library roof was going to be done by now. Every time I turn around, there's something new. And because of some things that the investigators, these are investigating engineers, because of some new discoveries they made, they want me to make sure I say not showstopper discoveries, but things that have to be dealt with. They then asked an independent forensic engineer to come in and look at the project, go through the building. He did, and I thought it was interesting in his report that he says the job that we are in pursuit of has to be done because of deterioration and poor construction. He didn't add poor design in that. He said deterioration and poor construction. Now, I think you could assume that it was poor design also, but I won't jump to that conclusion. I'll just hope that they get in here soon and get this thing done. I can't wait. I just can't wait. Related to that is number 3 on the old business. We've got to have, they're waiting for me to respond with a staging area. A staging area would be where the contractor parks any equipment, marshals materials, stuff like that, and just hopefully an out of the way spot that would keep the traffic of the construction out of the traffic of the business for the town hall and vice versa. So I thought of a couple of locations to put that, but I'd really like the town board to respond and even the town clerk to respond and even the town building inspector to respond where you might think a good staging area for such items would be. And I hope it's as close to the job site as possible. Any comments?
The 1911 parking lot, like you suggested before.
How much material are they anticipating?
Well, you know,
do you even have any idea?
It's going to be interesting because when you're talking about a traditional construction site, you've got a lot of lumber. There will be some lumber here in this job, but it won't be a lot. There will be a lot of shingles, and there will be a lot of insulation materials. But you know, it won't be a lot. It'll be more to keep the two forms of traffic out of each other's way. I don't want people getting run over by construction guys, but I don't want them, you know, dropping material because they almost hit somebody. So I think the parking lot at the 1911 house would be appropriate, and they shouldn't run into anybody. There should be no conflict if they park over there. What does the rest of you think?
It makes sense. The the house is vacant, so there would not be any interference with people going in and out of there for any potential issues. So that makes sense.
I think it's a good idea too, because if it falls into any time we have snow, then we'd have to plow around, and that parking lot's not going to be used.
I agree.
I will notify QPK tomorrow that the 1911 parking lot can be used exclusively by them and the contractor. Okay.
Hey, Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to clarify. I have written down in the calendar on the town of Rush, says the board meetings in October are the 14th and the 28th. That's the second and fourth Wednesday.
You're right. The 21st is the third Wednesday. Good catch, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria. I hope that hasn't goofed anybody up.
So is that a third meeting, or?
Is it a special meeting, or do we move it to the 14th or the 28th?
I don't think we need a special meeting.
I think that was just an error in the agenda stating that the public hearing will be set the 21st.
It was in the resolution we got.
Yeah, but I based it on what was submitted from the agenda.
Oh, so what it has been done in the past as far as, is the last week in October too late? Is that time frame okay?
Yeah, I believe that should be sufficient. Do we have enough time to publish for the first meeting? I think we would, right? Because it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It would be October 14th.
We got an extra week because there's another Wednesday.
Can we do that?
Can we get the notice in fast enough, Pam?
Yeah, I'm just looking at I guess the budget deadline was where we got that October 21st from.
Yeah, so let's, I think a motion to reschedule the hearing to the 14th.
I second that motion.
Do you need me to reread it?
Yeah, if you could, Councilwoman Corbin.
All right, I so move to reschedule a public hearing on the town of Rush. Or do I have to cancel the other one?
No, we'll reschedule it for the one you're going to pick.
Okay. I so move to reschedule a public hearing on the town of Rush 2021 budget to take place on October, everyone, what's the date?
14th.
14th, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. in the offices of the Rush Town Hall, located at 5977 East Henrietta Road, New York, and on Zoom pending Governor Andrew Cuomo's executive order. Could I have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Woolever?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusi?
Aye.
All right, sorry to sidetrack you, Jerry.
No, thank goodness that you found it tonight instead of tomorrow night. Thank you very much. And thank you, Amber, for reproducing that resolution.
It was a team effort with all of us.
I agree, 100%. Next on the old business agenda is the Rush Riverside Refuge dumping. We don't have a highway superintendent with us tonight. He's off on personal business, but I do think that we could pave the way for future discussion by at least letting everyone know why, Amber, you've chaired a committee that is going to look into that. And basically, at the last meeting, we had videos of what was going on over there, and we've got to make sure that people are comfortable with what we're doing and how we're going about doing it. So Amber, you can have the floor.
Thank you. just a very brief update. I shared this with the board from my meeting in regards to the area on the former Bosse's property that was brought up at the last town board meeting. A small group of us, we met via Zoom on Monday for about an hour, and we're just in the preliminary stages of educating ourselves, doing some background research, and we will be meeting again shortly once we get our little homework assignments done, and we will update the board in the town at that time. And that's that.
Thank you. I just want to go back to the budget schedule. One of our attendees just made a comment about why do we keep scheduling for 21. Well, the budget year that we're scheduling for is 21, but the meetings that we just stated to be conducted are all in 20. But we've got to do the budget for 21, so that's hopefully where the confusion is. We're holding.
Well, I think Supervisor, when John, we might have to do a third try. I think Christine Miller is correct. October 14th, I think I said 2021, not 2020 at 7:15. So can I try it again, John? Third time's a charm, I promise. Okay. Thank you, Christine, for catching that. Oh my gosh, maybe someone else should read it. Okay, I so move to reschedule the reschedule of a public hearing on the Town of Rush 2021 budget to take place on October 14th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. in the offices of the Rush Town Hall located at 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, and on Zoom pending Governor Andrew Cuomo's executive order.
Second. Again.
Councilman Wolver.
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin.
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey.
Aye. Hope the date.
I should mute my mic.
All right, that being out of the way, item 5, Deputy Supervisor Mazzetti is going to talk to us about the comprehensive plan restart. So Victoria, you can have at it.
Back in February, I presented to the board to have the Behan group update our comprehensive plan. I've met with John Behan from the Behan group back in January and February, and then again over the past couple of weeks to talk about updating the plan. He's done other small towns in our area. He's familiar with our area, and he most recently did the town of Henrietta. So when I spoke to him most recently, he said, and John Mancuso, I think this is where I will need your assistance, that the town board would have to make a motion to approve him to present a proposal. And I said, okay, well, is that free? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, well, will your proposal explain everything that you plan on doing and explain all the prices and everything? And he said, yes. So back in February, I submitted his letter of interest and intent to the board. And then I resent it again but I resent it probably like at 6:45, but everybody should still have it from the February time. So how does this work moving forward, John?
Well, so I mean, whether we need a resolution or not, I mean, typically speaking, we can go out and solicit requests for proposals if we've, set forth something in particular, in this case for the comprehensive planning. I'm not, I don't recall, was there a price range in that initial submission? Because that does, how much it would cost would depend on how we may wish to solicit this.
No, the original one did not have a cost.
Okay.
That's, I think, from that original one, the conversation then turned to, what is the cost going to be? Where are we getting this money from? And then at that time, back in February, the town wasn't ready to move forward.
Okay. I mean, so I guess a question I would have for the town board is, does the town wish to solicit proposals from multiple potential firms to undertake the comprehensive planning for the town, or does it wish to proceed with this one particular individual to obtain his proposal?
My opinion is proceed with this fellow to get a baseline and find out exactly what it is he's going to produce for that baseline. I say that fully understanding that we've been advised by our solar attorney that having this in place sooner than later would behoove us. And I don't want to get bogged down in a lot of solicitation of bids and proposals. So I think to establish a baseline with this guy, understand what it is he'll produce for that, we can then move on, if we have to another proposal. What do the rest of you think?
I think we should move ahead, but is there money in the budget? I can't remember if we've set money aside for that.
I found your checkbook in the parking lot last night, Dan, and I'm going to use that.
Knock yourself out, Jerry.
The answer to that, the serious answer to that is it all depends on what kind of money this fellow ends up presenting.
And if I could add to that inquiry, that will depend on the scope of the comprehensive planning that the town wishes to undertake. So if we did a wholesale, comprehensive planning update where we looked at every facet of our plan, that will be a lot larger of a budgetary item than if we focused on some particular things that may need comprehensive planning, certain things in particular. And I recall that we may have discussed this with Todd dating back a ways in terms of either doing something focused or something more expansive. So if the board wishes to discuss that tonight and give some direction on how to frame the request from this individual, we can do that. Or if the board wishes to give it some thought, and we can, return to the next meeting and then clarify it.
Deputy Supervisor, didn't this fellow have some previous involvement regarding comprehensive plan with the town of Rush?
Yeah, let me find, I just downloaded it again to my computer. Just give me a minute to find it. Where did it go? Downloads. Okay, so this was back on February 26th. We recognize, here I can share my screen. Hang tight. This was the letter that he shared back in February. Can everyone see it?
Not yet.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Victoria, I didn't see the date.
February 26th.
Thank you.
Yeah, the last paragraph tells me that we should move ahead just in case we need additional resources to make this happen.
I would agree with both you, Jerry, and Dan, that to get the process going so we can start learning from what they can share with us and the residents.
Agreed.
I agree.
All right, hang on one second. I thought I saw the chat box pop up. Chat, do we have a scope of work from Henrietta's comprehensive plan to update? Yes, so Carl Ost wrote, do we have a scope of work from the Henrietta's comprehensive plan? Yes, we do, and my memory is failing me right now, but I presented back probably January, February on what Henrietta did in their timeline. I think they had 2 surveys go out. Then they analyzed the data from the 2 surveys, and then they had maybe a couple workshops, and then they had the presentation of their comprehensive plan. If I remember correctly, that was their timeline. It took about 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, I think, in Henrietta. And the Behan group did Henrietta's. So I think after we received a scope of services from John Behan, I think my next move, or simultaneously my next move, would be to get a committee together to start brainstorming survey questions, what we're interested in, and how to move forward in updating the plan. I have had a couple people reach out to me that are interested in it already. So I would reach out again, just like I did with the previous committees, to get a committee up and running again.
I go for that again.
I agree.
Dan, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so I will reach out to John again and let him know to start beginning a proposal.
Good, thank you.
And I'd recommend, as you speak to him, to see if he could delineate to some extent. I think it was in the letter that you just flashed on the screen, but breaking down the scope of what he can provide. You know, for example, if the town had 2 issues versus 12 issues that it was trying to address in a comprehensive plan, I envision the cost delta might be significant. So if he can sort of gauge for the town, you know, what his overall recommendation is, and or if there's like a la carte or different breakdowns of the scope of the type of planning, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I agree. In his last 1-sentence paragraph, it kind of alluded to that, and stating, I read that it stated that their proposal and the cost is negotiable. And, you know, if we feel that there's something that they target to work on, but it's not going to add any immediate value to us, we might want to negotiate that their time is better spent on something else. But we'll get through it. And Victoria, you can engage them.
Okay.
You're not off the hook yet, Victoria, because you're on for number 6 under old business. And that is the update on the board's live video audio exploration.
Well, I don't know what's happening this evening with the YouTube. It may be my computer, because my computer died a couple weeks ago. So it may be my computer, but no matter what, this is still recording and I will upload it. So I don't know why we're not live streaming tonight. And we are continuing to research the different webcam options for when we do go in real life.
Great, thank you. Any other comments?
From me?
No, from anyone. Anyone who heard what you just said. All right, we'll move on. Councilman Woolaver, how about a nice 1911 update? I know you spoke a few minutes ago about it, but is there any additional detail you can share with the public? You're on mute.
Phyllis would like to give a report about it.
This is a report for you as the liaison to that committee.
Okay, what we're looking at to investigate the 3 different options that we're looking into. We're gonna need an architect to put together some plans for a recreation building to fix up the 1911 house, or just to tear it down. We got to put together some kind of figure so we can try to determine which way we want to move forward.
Dan, it's Phyllis. If the board will allow, I will give the report that has been asked of me.
And what does that report include?
The report includes what the committee has done, and I have provided, or the committee has provided Mr. Woliver, Councilman Woliver, with a copy of the report. The charge of the committee was to determine the future of the property. And over the past several months, the committee has discovered that the town of Rush purchased the 1911 property back in 2006 for the sum of $63,000.
Hey, Phyllis, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just want to support Jerry and his request from Dan to give the report to the public as a town board member.
I believe that Dan had said that he was going to defer the report to me because the committee asked that a member of the committee make the report.
Well,
I can do it. I have the report.
Is that the report that was emailed to all of us a few days ago?
No, you stopped skipping it.
Yes.
Then can you just summarize, because that's a pretty lengthy report to.
No, that was a report from the Historical Society. That is completely different than this committee. So if you want the committee's report, I believe that Dan deferred that to my reporting what the committee decided was the important points to be made to the board as the charge of the committee.
I don't think I've seen it. So Dan, do you have a copy, and can you deliver that summary?
I have it. As Phyllis said, we bought the town bought the house in 2006 for $163,000. There was the purpose for buying it at the time was to use it for a museum, to display the historic, and for a meeting place for the community. The structure's been used as a rental property since we got it. Finance records indicate that approximately $10,000 to $14,000 received in annual income from the property before the roof problem caused us to close it down. The house never really been maintained very well. It definitely needs a roof. It's needed a roof. It's been patched and patched and patched. And our rental agent says that it cannot be patched anymore. So the three options they're looking into: keeping the house to conducting necessary repairs, to demolish the house and build a rec center, or just demolish the house and put it to grass. But if we're going to investigate further and move ahead, we need to put together some kind of plan for fixing up the house and use it for the Historical Society, or tearing it down, and we need a price on a rec center. We need some kind of architectural input to get some figures together so we know how to move forward. And if we're going to save the house, we're going to have to put a roof on it.
I can't say this officially because I don't know, but it sounds to me, based on what I've been told, that there's a very strong support for rehabbing it and not much support for putting it to recreation or demolishing it. Would that be safe to say?
That's the way it's leaning.
And did you not report a couple of meetings ago that your estimate for an architect would be $10,000?
More.
That would be just probably to rehab. I mean, that's what.
No.
That's just for rehabbing. Get the architect to figure the rehab and the reconfiguration to the interior to meet the Historical Society's needs. But if we're going to compare it to a rec center, we're also going to have to pay to have the plans for a rec center put together so we can get an idea what that's going to cost.
Well, I asked the recreation supervisor late last week if she and any committee was going to propose recreational use, and she said no. Now, was that an official no or a frustrated no? I don't know that.
That's
But
a frustrating no. Pat had put together, she contacted people about putting up a pole barn type structure, and just putting up the shell is a lot different than actually putting together a rec center.
Well, you're talking about a lot of money for that.
That's, everything costs money. And
Yeah.
if we want to figure out how we're going to proceed forward, we got to get some figures together.
Well, can we get an estimate from an architect on doing this job?
I'll call around.
And
but we're gonna need. I mean, it can be costly.
well, sooner than later is very important, because once the roof starts going, you know what happens to the rest of it. I don't have to tell you.
Absolutely.
And you know, if there's any sentiment in the community that'll make a large enough movement to spare this building and rehab it, we got to do that sooner than later. So if you could get an estimate for someone to come in there and do the estimates for what it would cost, that would be the right thing to do.
Okay, I'll look into it tomorrow.
And if I can just add a few points, a time frame, I think would be well worth it for the board and the residents, so that we can report back on, are we talking about 30 days, 60 days, with winter coming and the roof that you're saying is in need of repair, if we're not going to incur additional charges. But Dan, if I can just repeat what I think I heard you say, you're looking at 3 options. One is to tear it down and replace it with a rec center. Yep. So we need to get a cost for demolition, which we should be able to do, right? No matter what way we go.
We've got that.
They are easy to come by.
That.
Yeah.
Can that be shared with the board then? So, because the only thing I have received to date is from the Rush Historical Society, when Dave Slabirski emailed us and it all went into our spam. I have not seen the committee's information, so that would be great. And then whatever report you have from the 1911 committee, if you could share that with the board so we can see that. And then hopefully at the next town board meeting, which is what, 3 weeks from now, yep. Hopefully we can have some, maybe that's too aggressive of a time frame, I don't know, but that's going to be October at that point, right? So. Yep. And I know many of us sitting at meetings and over the past few years have heard about a lot of the repairs that have gone on in the house. And we know a lot of money has been put into the house to repair, as you said, Dan, patchwork type of things. So I think probably also we should look at what we paid for the building and the amount of improvements we've made to it. Have they held up? Have they not held up? I think there's a lot of work to be done so that we can be confident in the decision that the town residents want us to make.
The repairs that have been done in the past have been patchwork at best. Just to keep it livable, but nothing. We haven't spent a lot of money.
And some of those, some of those were no doubt done before we took possession.
Yeah, I think it was divided up before.
Correct.
Well, I know I read the building inspector who went through for the Rush Historical Society, I believe, in the report they sent us. And I was surprised to know that there's not even, right, a heating system, and it's all electric heat.
Oh, electric. There's no gas to the building.
Okay. All right. Those were my questions. Thank you.
And my last comment on the subject is, I'm going to take a guess that demolition costs will be between $50,000 and $60,000.
I think the price we got is $25,000.
What are you going to do? Have the fire department burn it?
No, we got Federico gave us the price. I think it was $25,000.
Oh wow, that's not bad. No, that's good. I'll stop right there then. Hope that you can get that price restated. All right, we're going to leave that subject, but before we do, I want to thank Phyllis for being a very active participant in that project and explain that this is the town board members' response to the community for projects they've been working on. And I invite Phyllis to speak about this at the next open forum when we get to it. Thank you. And now we move on to new business. And we have a resolution to reappoint Gail Gallo as a Board of Assessment Review member.
Not it. I've messed up a couple of them tonight, so I don't know if Dan, you got this one?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Gail Gallo to the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term effective October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2025.
I'll second it.
Councilman Welliver?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey?
Aye. And the next item is the discussion of an averaging thermostat installation by Pipitone. You may recall that earlier this year, we had a major breakdown in the air conditioning system, and it cost us on the south side of $11,000 to get that fixed. Then a similar situation occurred in the supervisor's office area, the conference room, the office, and the secretary to the supervisor. That, thank goodness, didn't cost us anywhere near as much, but one of the things they did to fix that problem was they installed a new thermostat in the little conference room that is just beyond the secretary supervisor's office. And they said that they would eliminate any future problems if they put an averaging thermostat in. Well, I'm not one for leaving a stone unturned. I said, well, give us a proposal for an averaging thermostat. And I think I should have not been surprised that it was an averaging price. We're talking about $1,100, which to me is pretty steep. And I would like to know if anybody feels any discomfort if we didn't go for a $1,100 averaging thermostat. So does anyone have an opinion?
That seems high. What's the benefits of it?
Pardon me?
What's the benefit?
Well, what it does is stabilize the temperatures so you don't have one area colder or warmer than the other. And what it does is it makes the area consistent throughout. Like if you walk into the secretary's office, it'll feel whatever you set it for. The little conference room, same thing. The finance director's office, same thing. The supervisor's office, same thing. Now I'm told that there are sometimes differing temperatures, but I don't notice it because I'm a cold weather guy and I don't like heat and humidity, but I don't feel any heat and humidity in there. So I'm questioning whether or not it's worth $1,100 expense to make it stable within 1 or 2 degrees.
Is this more zone? It's more zoned right now. If the averaging thing would make it this constant temperature throughout the town hall?
Not throughout, but with combined with the clerk's office.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe the clerk would like it warmer or cooler than the supervisor's office.
There you go. That's a consideration.
It's freezing in the winter, and this summer it was very warm all summer.
Well, we know why it was very warm, because the system had a major malfunction. But what we're going to try to do is make a difference for you and your deputy in the wintertime.
Yeah, but my office is totally separate. There's no insulation in the back wall. and the heating system on the, I think they've gone over, QPK went over it when he did the study with the air control and everything. It's colder
Yes.
in my office in the back.
Yes, and one of their proposals is to fix that. But that's a case where you won't know if it fixes it until you do it. So we're hoping. I say, let's not spend $1,100. What about the rest of you?
I agree.
I agree.
All right. I will notify Pipitone that we're not that discomforted yet. Now, future board dates. I should have Councilwoman Corbin read this, but I will read them. Town Board October 14th and 28th. Planning Board October 20th. Zoning Board October 8th. And Conservation Board October 1st. All anticipated with New York Governor Cuomo's meetings law executive order. The next item under new business, number 4, I'm going to turn over to our attorney, John Mancuso, because this is a real complicated legal issue. And I know John will be much better at letting you know what's going on and what needs to be done than I could possibly do. So John, please have at it.
Thank you, Supervisor. Over the past year or so, some matters have arisen within the town that has necessitated a evaluation of the scope of litigation coverage, insurance defense coverage with respect to certain matters, and as it relates to not only the town and its boards, but individual members and officers and employees of the town. And so questions have arisen with respect to what is the scope of coverage, what is the duty of the town from a standpoint of legal defense, attorney's fees, and indemnification. And so the supervisor asked me to provide a little bit of background with respect to the law in this area. It starts with a state statute, Public Officers Law, Section 18, which is a provision that authorizes local municipalities to provide defense for officers and employees in civil actions and proceedings. And so how that statute is implemented at the local level is a town will adopt a local law to authorize the coverage of defense for individual officers and employees if there's a particular matter that is commenced against one or more officers and or the town. This provision is sort of a backstopping provision. It gets triggered when insurance isn't otherwise available. And so the town carries insurance policies to protect employees and officers in the town with respect to certain civil matters. And over the years, on occasion, that insurance coverage has been triggered to provide for counsel retention to defend the matters. There are certain things that are not covered by insurance, and that's where you have this area where then it becomes a local matter of governance as to whether a municipality wishes to adopt legislation to effectively fill in gaps that may exist in coverage. And so through the course of the year, in terms of matters that have arisen, this issue has been revisited by the town, and currently, as was requested of me, to sort of do some research and evaluate what other towns have by way of local statutes, to also coordinate with our insurance company to discuss what is covered, what may be out there for additional coverage, and what those things look like, so I could bring that back to the board for future review. Now, I do want to make one point of clarification in terms of the statute and the ability of the town to provide this defense. And so in the absence of the statute, the town doesn't have the discretion to approve these expenditures. They'd be unconstitutional gifts of public funds. And so that's why the statute becomes important if that's something the town wishes to pursue. I also want to mention that this is a somewhat unique set of circumstances most times over the years. In many, many instances, things that will arise will be covered either by insurance and or covered through joint defense and other things. And so, for example, your typical Article 78 proceedings, if let's say a planning board or a zoning board was named for challenging a decision that was made, or there was a lawsuit involving some negligence or some other thing where our insurance may step in to cover those types of things. Usually what happens is the town is covered, and then any employees or officers or board members that are joined in tandem with those boards are just going to be part of that overall defense. And so most of the time, 9% of the time, so to speak, those are the typical types of things that municipalities will see, and those things are covered either by insurance and or the town's defense of matters. But nevertheless, there are exceptions to those, and those are the things that the town board has asked me to investigate, and I am in the process of doing that, and will report back in the month of October on that subject. And with that, I'll certainly open it up to the board if there's any particular things you wish for me to discuss as well.
I have no question at this point.
I look forward to your report in October, John.
As do I.
Thank you.
Victoria, did you have a comment?
No, I agree. Thank you for sharing this with us, John. I think this is important information that some of us may not have totally understood. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this for us.
Thank you very much. The next subject isn't on the agenda, but it's been a big frustration for me. Being a committed optimist, I had continued to believe all along, ever since we started incurring costs for the coronavirus effect on our town. And for those of you who may not know what we're talking about in costs, I'm talking about thousands of dollars in costs so that we could continue to offer our business services to the residents of the town. And, you know, I fully anticipated all along that there would be an opportunity for reclaiming some of those costs under the CARES Act. And I was just reminded recently and reminded myself, we got to let realism set in here. And I want to read this. It says the various coronavirus federal stimulus packages recently adopted failed to adequately help local governments. Although the first stimulus package provides some direct funding, it is only for municipalities with populations of over 500,000. Now, that doesn't make me happy, and it shouldn't make anyone in here happy, but it's reality, and I finally got up enough courage to share it with you. I don't know where this is going to go, but we might end up as a municipality eating all of the costs that we incurred to deal with this. I guess I can't say anything more. Very frustrating. That's all I'll say. The last thing is a proclamation for Indigenous Peoples Day. A little bit of background. I think we all grew up knowing about Columbus Day to celebrate the great explorer who found the land our country is on. And that's always observed on the second Monday in October. I want to read this proclamation, and if the town board wants to adopt it, so be it. Whereas Columbus Day is observed as a federal holiday on the second Monday in October, and whereas the day recognizes the October 12, 1492 landing of Christopher Columbus on an island in the Caribbean, marking the Europeans' first contact with the New World, and whereas this contact began centuries of settlement on lands already occupied by native peoples of the Americas and exploitation of the New World's seemingly endless resources, and whereas indigenous Americans experienced conquest, enslavement, displacement, and disease which decimated the population, and whereas native people who were displaced from this area include the Haudenosaunee, also known as the Six Nations, and specifically the Seneca, Tuscarora, and Cayuga tribes, and whereas Columbus Day has become a day, especially in New York State, to recognize the heritage and contributions of Italian Americans to our state and nation, and whereas the town board recognized the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples' Day by adopting a resolution reimagining Columbus Day as an opportunity to also celebrate Indigenous heritage and resiliency, and whereas recognizing Indigenous Peoples' Day serves as a reminder to reflect on the Native people who were here in our town before us and their descendants. Now, therefore, I, Gerald Cusey, Supervisor of the Town of Rush, on behalf of the Rush Town Board, staff, and residents, while continuing to recognize Columbus Day, hereby proclaim October 12th, 2020 as Indigenous Peoples' Day in Rush to acknowledge and celebrate the culture and sacrifice of the first people on this land. Any comments on that?
No, thank you for reading that, and thank you for the people that helped put this together. I think it's important that we recognize the history of our town. It goes back a long way.
We have an extremely large Native American heritage in our town, settlements and transportation, you know, trail systems, etc. It's just unbelievable. So I think this is the right thing to do. Dan, Victoria, any comments?
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we can adopt this by vote, and Pam and I will take care of the dates for today on. So, proposing this, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Wolver?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey?
Aye. And we will now go into a public comment section. After the public comment session, we're going to go into attorney-client privilege session. I would expect the town board, the deputy supervisor, and the attorney and myself to attend that session. We will come out and adjourn the regular meeting. For the public comment session right now, I want to remind everyone that this is where you can have your say. You can ask your question, you can make your comments. We will listen to whatever you have to say and respond if you expect it. Just be respectful of the other attendees and be courteous to all. So welcome your comments starting now. Thank you.
Marianne Rizzo wanted to thank the town board for recognizing and respecting Indigenous people. And next is Dave Slaberski, and he is at 69 West Rush Road.
Good place to be. Yes, to the town board, just a little background. For 30 years, I've been documenting a lot of history in Rush through recordings and that, and was on the Bicentennial Committee. And we had a president, co-president who just stepped away, and that's how I stepped up in that position. And so part of that role was now substituting and being at the 1911 committee meeting. So I had been at 2. And so today, earlier, the correspondence between Dan and Phyllis kind of seemed a little shaky. So Amber asked to have those documents sent because we all proofed it today as sort of talking points for the town. So please do look at that. And the second part is at attending this meeting, I did ask a few questions like, is there official charge? Who's the chair? What is this committee? Is it an official committee? It was very vague. It was very loosey-goosey. So I'm not sure if we actually are a committee, if there's an official charge, the structure of it. So right now, to me, it just seems like a group of people involved and trying to help the town. But I would like the town board with the liaison to figure out if there is such a strong structure for that, if we are an official committee. So I just don't see that at this point right now. There was no concrete answers as to much about it. So that's all I have to ask for. Thank you.
Councilman Woolaver, would you like to respond to that?
Town board got these people together. They are a committee. I don't know how you make it official. And the charge is to investigate what to do with the property at 1911 Rush Scottsville Road.
Maybe Dan, I'll send you an email and we can have a little more discussion on this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't know who was chair. They didn't know who was chair officially, and it was just vague. And so it's like to have a solid platform. That's all. Thank you.
Chris Miller is chair.
Supervisor Cusey?
Yes, ma'am.
In the beginning of when the committee was set up, I think when Victoria was facilitating that, I think I did ask her and she gave me the names of the people that were on that committee. But piggybacking what Mr. Slabirski said, I was going to ask you in our conversations the other day about setting up committees, do you want me to do any kind of advertising for committees, or do you want me to put anything on the website like we did in the past and set up their purpose and their sort of mission? Because we haven't done that for the committees that have been set up this past year.
Well, that's a very good question because we plan on continuing with committee involvement in the town of Rush. Committees represent the residents, and the residents are the ones who drive where they want Rush to go. So I think we could put up a generic posting which would create a pool of possible committee participants. And the unfortunate thing is, you know, you might say, okay, Mr. Slabirski, your name has come up. Would you like to be on the hot dog committee? And, you know, he might say, oh, I hate hot dogs. So no, I don't want to be on that committee. And it would maybe cause a little extra work finding someone who wants to be on a specific committee where we have a need. But I think that wouldn't be a bad idea to generate a pool like that.
All right, because in the past we did like do an advertisement for committee members.
Yeah.
And what their purpose was.
Yeah. Anybody else have a comment?
That's a great idea. Oh, sorry. Was that you, Amber?
No, that's okay. My question was, I think that could be discussed, you know, in the town hall, maybe at one of the meetings or whatever. But as far as advertising, you're not going to get everybody unless it was just on the website type of thing. Is that what you meant by that, Pam? Just putting, having the supervisor's secretary put something up there?
Yeah, in the past we would advertise something in the Penny Saver, which everyone gets. So if they wanted to be on a committee that was going to be formed by the supervisor, then they would be, and they would be told what exactly their mission was to be. If they were advisory committee or if they were something specific. So I would also know if it was going to be a public meeting versus a non-public meeting because it was just a special advisory committee to the town board.
Well, I think that's something that the board, we should definitely discuss and come up with a process and procedure for that. I know I know not everyone gets the penny saver, unfortunately, and that's my concern, that we wouldn't be hitting everybody, but I don't think you can, so.
No, that's just our official newspaper, so that's why I suggested that.
The penny saver is our official newspaper?
That's our official newspaper to send out other stuff. The Post is our official newspaper for legal notices, but everyone does get or most people do get the penny saver.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea for the town board to work on that. I know Attorney Mancuso and I worked this summer on process and procedure, and that would be something we can continue on with the board. So thanks, Pam. That's a good idea.
I agree, because I'm a believer in nothing ventured, nothing gained.
And Victoria brought a lot of good skills in setting up those earlier committees that we can obviously use her skills for that as well.
I agree. I think, Pam, you helped encourage and support public notification of the meeting dates and times, the participants, the address where it was located. And then I shared the minutes with everybody after every meeting. So that was public knowledge and shared at the board meeting. So I think that this is a step in the right direction. Thank you for bringing it up, Pam.
It's just a process that is through the Association of Towns that we normally do. So
that's okay. Make it work. Anyone else?
Yes, we have, sorry, I turned my computer really dim. We have Deb Cusey will be next. Then Bethany Cho wrote, I am thrilled about designated Indigenous Peoples Day in Rush. Thank you, Town Board. And then, so it'll go Deb, and then Catherine Hankins. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Hi, thank you, Victoria. Thank you, town board members. And it's great to be part of this whole experience with the town. And I'm Deb Cusey. I live at 55 Rotzel Road, and I'm a finance person, and you know, I love it. And I want to applaud the town board for the budget process that we went through in the last couple weeks. And given the various conversations, even tonight, alluding to the volatility of COVID as it relates to our town budget, I would like to ask that the town board starts preparing a metric that says every month we compare month over month the revenue stream of the town board, whether that's income from taxes, income from retail, income from whatever. Because what I picked up on, you know, the conversations that we had was, you know, we can't control the revenue stream. And so therefore, I would like, as a taxpayer, want to know what's happening to the revenue stream given COVID, and how we as a collective group need to adjust our expenditures appropriately to match the revenue. I know we have a contingency, Dan explained that and how this works, but I would like to have a better understanding of a leading indicator of what's happening to the town and our revenue stream, and what our collective expenditures can be as we make decisions, like with 1911, like with like the library roof. I just don't feel comfortable having a comfort level of where we are. I really don't. So I would like to suggest that the town have more transparency on revenue streams, and it not being an annual process, it be a month over month trending thing. So we have an indicator of, are we in good shape or are we in bad shape? So that's just me. And I hope you would talk as a group about how to do that.
I'd like to comment on that. And I recall earlier this year, Councilwoman Corbin had suggested that we go in that direction. But I think so many things have gotten in the way, not the least of which is the COVID pandemic and some other things that have sapped our energy to explore new ways of doing business. And I wonder if Councilwoman Corbin would like to make a follow-up comment on what I just said.
I think anytime that we can see what is coming into the town and what is going out, and I will agree, doing it just once a year was a good learning curve for me, being new on this position. And now understanding the process much better, I think with Dan and your experience, Jerry and Victoria, we can sit down and hopefully be able to work with our finance director, Dan Klimek, and hopefully get some sort of a input output that we can report, just like we do with the abstract or transfer of funds. So we will definitely take that into consideration and see what we can come up with by the next town board meeting. And if that doesn't seem as what you were looking for or the town was looking for, we'll take the feedback and we will reflect on it and rework it. So I'm writing it down.
Thank you very much.
Dan has all those numbers. I mean,
right.
They can be accessed.
Yeah, he does have those numbers, but we just don't have a format for presenting them to the public.
I guess the key thing for me is I don't want to know what's happening. I want to know what it's compared to last year. I want to see a trend. I don't want to see, oh, today's the number, but well, how is it different than last year? And that's the key difference that I am stressing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you for a good meeting. And I think I might be responsible for one of the wrong dates, so sorry. But I wanted to focus in on the comprehensive plan. I was part of a comprehensive plan in another town, and there was an urgency to it. We had a moratorium on a development, and we had some very serious concerns because our comprehensive plan was out of date. And so we really did limit the scope, and we looked at what available plans and information was available. And we ended up having a very good, strong, very in-depth process, but we did it within a couple of months. And we did that because we could look at the older plan and really pull what we still liked. So as a community, when you look back on the 1993 comprehensive plan, some of the demographics, some of the maps, there's so much information that is still clearly reflective of what our community looks like. Some things did not get realized, but somebody can go through that, Victoria, maybe the group, and then I think we look at what we have had a charrette that cost us over $20,000. We've had a $25,000 farmland preservation act or research study that was funded through a grant, so that was good. And then we had 3 committees, really what Pam is alluding to. They were all authorized by the board at the time for Energy Advisory Committee, the Recreation and Agricultural Committee, and these are reports that all contributed to recommendations for the comprehensive plan. So I think we could end up having a very strong process, but a very limited process. So it doesn't take us 2 years. I think we do have some very serious concerns in our town that need to be resolved through a comprehensive process. So I agree with what John Mancuso was saying, is that let's look to see what is it, the 2, 3 issues that we really have to focus in on to make sure that we push forward quickly. And I think that's my recommendation.
Catherine, would you like to be on the committee?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
All
sure.
right.
I think I'm there just for my supervisor secretary, but I think it should be a board authorized committee, as Pam is alluding, that is in the statutes, or that's in the, maybe it's not in the statutes, but it's in the office of, that we really should do it that way. And I think it drives home the realization of a limited scope. The only other, when I look back, my first committee that I was appointed to by Supervisor Bill Udicious was the missing artifacts. And there were only 3 of us on the committee. We spent maybe, I think we were 6 months, or maybe it was only 3 months. But it did result in some very clear sort of recommendations to protect our artifacts. So I really hope that we can move forward quickly with the 1911 house. As Dan said, it was purchased for the Historical Society. And I am surprised that the committee never thought about selling the property. It is appraised at about $130,000. Why would we move it back to grass? So I think we could move quickly on that project as well, and really look at the data, because if we are collecting, or have collected for almost 14 years, $10,000 to $14,000 of income, that money has to be separated out, even if it's in the unencumbered bin that we have, balance. That money has to be used for park and recreation, because money was used for our town campus. So I think there's a way to move quickly on that. And if it's $25,000 to tear it down and $14,000 or less to put a roof on it, let's put a roof on the building and let's move forward with that. So those are my 2 thoughts. I won't say any more. Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine. There's no one else in the chat. Ethan Christ wrote that he does not need to speak, but he serves on a church board, and a monthly financial review is a standing item.
Thank you, Ethan.
You're welcome.
No one else? Then I move that we go into attorney-client privilege session. We will return to adjourn our regular meeting. Do I have a second to move?
Second.
Councilman Woliver?
Aye.
Councilwoman Corbin?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey?
Aye.
Supervisor Cusey, I don't believe that you said that I would be involved in that meeting. Would you recommend that somebody else close the meeting and let me know, since it is being recorded? Or did you invite me in?
I really don't think that asking you to stay for business that isn't directly involved with you is unfair. So I would ask that the board members, the attorney, myself, the deputy supervisor, go into that session. And the recording that you referred to, Amber or Victoria, can we take care of that? Can you take care of that?
It's still on Zoom.
I think we did that. We did that last time, right, Pam?
Yeah, it'll be recorded on Zoom, so I can get the end time, since there'll be no business following.
But not the recording of the attorney-client privilege, right?
That's never been.
Okay, so then, yeah, it'll re-record, Pam.
Right.
We need to record when we come back to the regular meeting.
Right.
Correct.
And then adjourn that.
Thank you.
Pam, can you send us that associations of town that you referred to, just so I can understand it better, that you referred to about the process and procedure just so I can understand it.
It's in your Association of Towns handbook for town board members under setting up committees.
Setting
This
up
one?
committees. Okay, I'll look there.
Yep.
I got that one. Yep,
This
great.
one's
Thank
yours,
you.
actually. Do you know
It's
what page, Pam? This one you let me borrow.
Not offhand, no.
All right. I'll find it and then I'll give it back to you. Okay, Amber?
Not a problem.
All right. Let's see.
Did we move
It's
to
just-
attorney-client privilege?
Not yet. Hang
yet.
on.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
Pam.
night, Pam. Thank you.
Pam's still there. She goes.
And then shut the.
All right. Everybody's in and we're recording.
All right. We are back in our regularly scheduled town board meeting.
Yep.
We have no further business to discuss.
Supervisor, you just need just a motion to re-enter, and then.
So I'm going to make a motion to re-enter. And do I
I'll
have a
second.
second to that motion? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. And as a courtesy to anyone who may be left, do you have any comment? If there's no comment, we will adjourn this meeting.
Just
I
a
like
motion to
Carol's
adjourn.
picture with her cat. A cute picture, Carol Barnett. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye.
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 Great.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night,
Have a good night, everyone.